Hello everyone and welcome in. Today we are going to be covering some of the awards given out at the College Football Award Show last night and also take a look at who could potentially win the Heisman Trophy later on tonight. Looking forward to getting into all of it, but before we do, please do hit that subscribe button down below if you haven't already, and like the video if you enjoyed it, as it really does help us out here on the channel. We'll also talk about how you can get involved coming up at the end of the episode. But let's dive in and talk about some of these awards that our ONIT players landed last night. We're going to begin with our Special Teams Awards. We always talk about how much we love NIL for all here at ONIT, so we are covering everyone all the way down to the special teamers. We'll begin with the Paul Hornung Award. This is for the best player who either plays on multiple sides of the ball, offense and defense, or plays the side of the ball and also shows excellence on special teams and leadership. And this award was won by Casey Concepcion of Texas A&M. His ability not only as a receiver but as a specialist in the return game is how he ended up winning this award. Big congratulations to KC. He's got a big game coming up against Miami next weekend, and we can't wait to see how he performs in that after picking up the Paul Hornung Award as one of the best wide receiver and punt/kick returners in the country. Our other special teams award was the Lou Groza Collegiate Place Kicker Award, won by Tate Sandell, the kicker from Oklahoma. Yes, he is the most outstanding place kicker in college football this year, and it's well-deserved. You look at Oklahoma's offense. At times, they struggled with their red zone efficiency. They struggled to move the ball consistently towards the latter half of the year, and Sandell was always there for them, nailing kicks of 30, 40, 50 yards. He had multiple kicks against Alabama that helped Oklahoma upset the Crimson Tide on the road in Tuscaloosa, and he's going to be looking to make some more field goals when they meet up again in the first round of the college playoff, now with a Lou Groza Award under his belt. Next, let's move on to our premier award for community service. That is the Werfel Trophy, and that is also going to one of our ONIT players. That one is going to Michael Taft, the safety from Texas. Last time we saw Taft on the field, he made a massive interception of Marcel Reed on the goal line for Texas. But this award is not for his play on the field, but instead his award for community service. Taft has been getting out in his local community there in Austin, volunteering, helping out, and just in general being a great ambassador for the University of Texas and for the Longhorn football team, and for his charitable work that he has done throughout the season and really throughout his career. He earns himself the Werfel Trophy. So big congratulations to Michael as we get into some of our Best Player in the Country awards. These are some of the premier awards in college football won by our ONIT athletes. Beginning on the defensive side, again, NIL for all. Come on, you know how we do here. The Jim Thorpe Award for the best defensive back in the nation going to Caleb Downs, a safety from Ohio State. The defense was legendary this year for Ohio State. It was one of the best in the country. They gave up only 13 points to Indiana in the Big Ten Conference Championship game. They barely gave up around 10 points a game. Downs in the secondary, a huge part of that. He was all over the field. Anytime Ohio State needed somebody to make a play in the secondary, he was one of the key guys that they looked to, one of the leaders of the defense. Makes a ton of sense that he is the recipient of this Jim Thorpe Award. So big congratulations to Caleb Downs as they get ready for their college football playoff bye there in Ohio, at Ohio State. Next up, the best receiver in the country, the Biletnikoff Award. Makai Lemon of USC. What an outstanding season from Lemon. USC is no stranger to Biletnikoff winners playing for the Trojans, and Lemon becomes the next one in that long history. What a season from Lemon. Him and Jaden Mayava were on the same page in pretty much every game for the Trojans. Although they aren't going to the college football playoff, they do get one more chance to showcase their amazing connection this year. They'll be taking on TCU. Should be a fun bowl game down there in Texas for USC. And we'll see what type of show Lemon can put on as he found the end zone in all sorts of different occasions as a receiver, as a runner, and even as a quarterback at sometimes this year. He is the winner of this year's Biletnikoff Award. Next up, we have the Home Depot Coach of the Year Award. And for the second straight year, that's going to Curt Cignetti, the head coach of Indiana. When you look at the historic rise for the Hoosiers, it only makes sense that Cignetti was the only option, the only undefeated team in the country. The turnaround that Indiana has had from 2023 to December of 2025, it's unbelievable. They're number one in the AP poll for the first time ever. They just won the Big Ten Conference Championship for the first time since 1967. Cignetti had a lot to do with this rapid turnaround for the Hoosiers, and that is why he is back-to-back Home Depot Coach of the Year. But another guy who had a ton to do with Indiana's turnaround won our next two awards, and that would be the Davy O'Brien and the Maxwell. Both of those, the Davy O'Brien for the best quarterback and the Maxwell for the best player of the year, are going to Fernando Mendoza of Indiana. When you look at Mendoza's season, you understand why. He went on the road to Autzen, beat the Oregon Ducks. He led the amazing comeback drive against Penn State on the road to win the game there for Indiana. And then he outdueled Julian Sayin in the Big Ten championship game to keep Indiana undefeated, win their first outright conference title since 1945, and send the Hoosiers as the number one seed to the college football playoff for the second straight year. When you look at that body of work, it's hard to argue against. Mendoza had a fantastic season, great stats to back it up as well. So he wins the quarterback and the best player of the year in the Davy O'Brien and the Maxwell. He is also on the Heisman shortlist, and we're going to talk about that next. We'll take a look at the finalists and preview who might take home the trophy tonight. The Heisman Trophy presentation is tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern Time on ABC. We'll take a look at who we think is going to take home that trophy. The finalists are running back Jeremiah Love from Notre Dame, quarterback Diego Pavia from Vanderbilt, quarterback Julian Sayin from The Ohio State University, and quarterback Fernando Mendoza from Indiana. It's a very impressive short list, very quarterback heavy, of course, with the three quarterbacks being there. Jeremiah Love, the only non-quarterback to make this list for the presentation. They will all be in New York City tonight for this Heisman Trophy presentation. And when you ask me who I think is going to walk away with the trophy tonight, have to say it would be Fernando Mendoza, and I'll tell you why. Firstly, I think everybody else, you could poke a hole in their argument. I think Mendoza's is pretty airtight. You look at Jeremiah Love. Some have made the argument that he's not even the best running back in the country. When you look at the numbers that a guy like Ahmad Hardy at Missouri put up, or another one of our ONIT athletes, Emmett Johnson, put up at Nebraska, potentially against stiffer competition, some people have argued, compared to the schedule that Notre Dame played, especially in the latter half of the season. So people have made that argument. Of course, Love is on a team that did not win its two biggest games against Miami and against Texas A&M. So there you have another argument against Jeremiah Love. Same argument can be made against Diego Pavia. When the lights were the brightest, he did not show up at the best of his ability. In the loss to Alabama, he had crucial turnovers that cost the Commodores the game. And then you look at the game against Texas when they played and lost to the Longhorns. Pavia had some very bad turnovers in that game, and he also did not start putting up stats until the Commodores were down by 3 touchdowns in the loss to Texas. It was a nearly miraculous comeback. It was a furious rally towards the end, but Pavia was putting up stats in what was essentially garbage time in that game. So his two biggest games of the year, Pavia did not make his case for why he should be the Heisman, in my opinion. And then you look at Julian Sayin. The argument against Sayin is twofold. One, Mendoza outdueled him in the conference championship game. When you put the two of them on the field, Mendoza against that great Buckeyes defense, Sayin against that great Hoosier defense, it was Mendoza's team who came out on top. They held Sayin and the Buckeyes to just 10 points, 1 touchdown in the whole game. That's not planting your flag on your Heisman moment, in my opinion, for Julian Sayin. And also, you look at the loss. The fact that they lost head-to-head for Sayin, again, is another ding on the resume, along with the arguments that people have made all year against Ohio State, which is the schedule wasn't that tough. Granted, they did play Texas week 1, which was a top 5 team in the country at the time when they played Texas. And then they also played Michigan and Indiana. So 3 really difficult games for Julian Sayin and the Buckeyes. But I don't think there was enough there compared to Fernando Mendoza's resume. What are the holes in the Mendoza resume? If you ask me, I don't see any. He's on an undefeated Indiana Hoosiers team who's #1 in the country. He beat Julian Sayin head-to-head in the Big Ten Conference Championship game when his team needed him most on a 3rd and long with just over 2 minutes left in the game. He connected on a deep shot to move the chains, reset the clock, give Indiana the opportunity to bleed nearly the rest of the game away. That's a Heisman moment right there. You look at the catch in the back of the end zone from Omar Cooper Jr. on the road at Penn State, trailing, gotta have it moments. Mendoza delivered. It was a great catch by Cooper Jr., don't get me wrong, but that's another Heisman moment that you can put in Mendoza's cap. And he went on the road to Oregon, gave the Ducks their only loss of the year, beat them by 10. This is Indiana going into Autzen. 3 years ago, that would have been a game the Ducks won by 40 points. This year, Mendoza beats the Ducks by double digits on the road. You look at all 3 of those wins right there. All of those games where Mendoza made something happen when he had to do it for Indiana's season to be undefeated the way they are. Fernando Mendoza is a key catalyst for the Hoosiers this year and one of the main reasons why they are undefeated. So in my eyes, I don't see how Mendoza doesn't walk away with the trophy because I think that his argument, his resume is rather bulletproof compared to the rest of the finalists. Hope you enjoyed today's awards video. Let us know down in the comments below who you think should win the Heisman, or if you're finding this video after it's already been given out, what do you think about who won the Heisman Trophy? Tell us in the comments below. Do appreciate you watching. Please do subscribe and like the video if you enjoyed the content today, as we'll be covering much more college football throughout the rest of the season and the college football playoff. If you've pulled any amazing ONIT cards recently and want to share them with the community, drop them in the link below or use the link in the description and we will share them with everybody else. We'll feature you in a video, talk about your great pull. You can send us photos, videos, or whatever best documents your great pull, whether it's an amazing auto, low numbered parallel, or a nice insert that you'd like to show off. We'd love to share it with the community. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed. We will see you later, and have fun watching the Heisman Trophy presentation tonight.